Hello, and welcome to Copy That, the new series from Quadcast that's all about copywriting. I'm your host, Lewis, and today I'm joined by Emily Redman to talk all things copy. Emily, thanks so much for being here. It's great to have you on.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
So I just want to get started straight away with kind of like the most broad question. How did you get into copywriting?
So I got into copywriting because I did a journalism degree and really, really loved writing. Like I loved what I learned in my journalism degree, and kind of up until probably my second or third year, I wanted to be a journalist. But yeah, for multiple reasons, I didn't really pursue journalism. And in my last year of uni, I got a job with a marketing agency, which involved quite a lot of copywriting. And I was like, whoa, like I love doing this. I love writing, and I know I'm not going to go down the journalism route. So yeah, that is in short how I got into copywriting.
I feel like doing a humanities subject at university always seems to kind of be like the perfect avenue for getting into copywriting because you're so used to just language by that point that you let me just go and do something with this. So my background is film studies. So I've come out of university with a pretty useless degree, but a great knowledge of how to write a good essay. So put it to good use.
Yeah, definitely. I always knew I wanted to put my degree to good use.
Yeah.
But I was I was sort of kind of set on not becoming a journalist or pursuing that route. But marketing was, marketing's huge. And there's so many avenues you can go into. I just knew it's a way I could use my journalism degree without necessarily being a journalist.
So just following on from that, I wanted to ask you kind of what's your setup these days? Are you freelance? Do you work in-house? Do you work for an agency?
I'm freelance. Yes, I've recently become freelance after working for an agency, primarily an SEO agency, for the last 3 years. So it's only been the last 3 months I've become freelance.
Amazing. What made you kind of take the jump to go, I'm going to do this?
So there's a couple of different reasons, because I absolutely loved the team that I worked with at my agency. But I was a digital marketing manager and content specialist there. So one of the reasons was I really, really wanted to focus on the copy, the content strategy, like primarily just focus on that. And I also wanted to do some traveling around Europe.
Yeah.
And although the agency was great in terms of hybrid kind of working and, a hybrid working setup, ultimately I kind of knew I had to sort of be able to have that flexibility to pick my own hours if I wanted to do some traveling around Europe. So kind of two reasons, really.
Very nice. Did you end up traveling around Europe?
I have done some traveling around Europe.
Lovely.
And I have done quite a bit of working while I've been abroad. And yeah, it's definitely not what I would say the Bali influencers make it seem like. But the biggest thing I've loved is probably picking my own hours, because I like to work quite late into the night, and I'm really not a morning person.
Well, thanks for doing this at 10 in the morning.
Yeah, I usually start work at like 10, half 10. So this is like me waking up, but then I often work until like 9, 10 at night. Yeah, but that's something I probably need to get better at.
Well, I find that kind of like flexibility, because sometimes, there'll be days where I'll take my laptop home from work and I'm like, it could be that I'm not even working to a deadline, but I just go, it's fresh of mind. Let me just do it, because I just like the words are there. The brain is active. I just need to get on and do this now. Yeah. I do it a lot with podcast editing, is I'll sit there at 1 o'clock in the morning and just go, I am not tired. Let me just edit this podcast and then I'll go to sleep.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was writing some stuff. I couldn't sleep last night, so I was writing some stuff on my phone ready for this morning, and I'll like translate it from my notes app to my onto a Google Doc, because what about this idea? But yeah.
So I just wanted to then ask you, before you went freelance, I know that this was a recent thing, but was there anybody discouraging you from doing that?
There was generally everybody was really lovely and positive about it. There were a few people that have said, "Oh, AI," all the the worry and the chaos around AI, and is this the best time to get into, to pursue copywriting and content writing. So yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, that made me nervous as well, because as I've seen more brands just pump out clearly content written by AI, I was thinking, but yeah, that did make me nervous.
I suppose there's always that, if people are discouraging you, if you're anything like me, it will just make you go, well, no, I'm going to go and do it then. Don't tell me what I can't do.
Yeah, that was exactly
stubbornness.
the same. Yeah, I was exactly the same. Yeah.
Not stubbornness, determination. It's a good thing. Yeah. It's a positive thing.
Yeah. Well, I was also like, once I made my decision, I have to make this work. Like I made, I probably made the decision maybe six months before I handed my notice in. And well, not made the decision, but was kind of like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for it. And that's when I spoke to my close family and friends, and they were like, especially my mum, she was like, have you heard about this ChatGPT? Great. And then her friends would tell her that they've discovered this ChatGPT.
I mean, bouncing off of that then quickly, what tools or software are you using daily?
So I use Notion daily, which is so good for planning my days, for like big projects that are planning my work, what's in progress, what's completed. And then it's also really good for an invoice tracker.
Right.
And then I also sometimes use Claude AI to help me with content outlines. And also when I've kind of got a bit of a brain blocker, I will ask Claude AI to like help me reword something, or help me make this sentence better. And another thing it's good for is like check my spag. So yeah, those are probably the two tools. And then I do some social media management as well. So I use Canva Pro, which is really good actually for obviously the kind of basic graphic design stuff, but then also like reel templates. So I'm using Canva Pro quite a lot. And then you got the standard tools like Gmail, Google Cal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, I'm a big fan of Canva. I mean, I'm not a designer whatsoever. To me, it's just a good exercise in like, oh, look, I'm a graphic designer today.
It is great for that. I would love to have the eye for graphic design. Yeah, I really don't do much of it for social accounts that I manage. But, when you create something, you're like, oh, that just doesn't look quite right. And I just don't know how to change it. Like my hat goes off to graphic designers.
Definitely. I can never choose a font for any sort of graphic. Yeah. No matter what I do, the words could be perfect, but the font will never look right. I just can't do it.
Me too. Yeah. And then it's like, you should only have maximum 2 fonts per. I'm with you there.
I just wanted to bounce off of you saying that, you would use a Claude AI to rewrite a sentence if you're not happy with it. So I just wanted to know, how often will you edit a piece of work or a sentence even, or rewrite it before you finally feel happy with that?
So at the beginning of my career, probably when I worked for my first marketing agency, I would literally spend hours rewriting, and I would usually go for the first thing that I'd written anyway. So as I've kind of now quite a few years down the line kind of realized that pattern, I'm just going for the first one. I kind of, most of the time, I go for the first thing I've written anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like just wasting so much time rewriting. So I try not to constantly rewrite things. Or if I know something needs to be rewritten, I'll usually sleep on it, and then with a fresh brain, then I'll go and rewrite things the day after. So yeah, I tend to sleep on things.
I like to do a lot of drafts of things. I find that my first draft is usually like not a complete mess, but the ideas are there, and then it's just like trying to piece the puzzle together. And I feel like I'm quite good at that. So when I was doing my degree, we had screenwriting courses and screenwriting classes. I feel like that's set me up really nicely to do a piece of work, because I like to structure things in like, okay, we need to get from here to here to here to here. And even if it's like the most sort of mundane blog, I like to be able to get from like point A to point B to point C in like a really nice, narratively congruent way.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, do you kind of work in a similar sort of way? Do you like to have things have a natural flow to them, or what kind of work do you like to do?
I it, it's interesting actually, because I find writing for B2C brands, like the sexier brands, I guess,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like a lot more pressure. Often with B2C brands, they're kind of cooler, they're a little bit snappier. The writing is very different, and those are often the content pieces that take me the most time, that I have to revisit and then revisit again, as opposed to maybe the B2B brands are a little bit more complicated. The content still needs to be engaging, but they're not as like sexy or snappy, or less of the one-liner stuff.
Mm.
So I think I'm still figuring out the best way to create that like formula in terms of creating content for all different types of brands.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all solution, and I think that that's kind of the beauty of it. You know, so we're an agency here, so for some clients, I know that my style works for them, and I know that for others it definitely doesn't. So it's adapting that to really fit everybody, so that everyone's happy, and I'm also feel kind of creatively fulfilled.
Yeah,
which I think is important for any writer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
So I just wanted to bounce off of this now with, is there a particular project that you've done or been a part of that you feel really proud of?
So two kind of stand out. I'll give a B2B example of B2C. One, the B2B project was a kind of campaign content in a box. It was when I was working for an agency for a tech brand that turned over almost $2 billion. And so I was like, oh, it's a big brand. So it's important we kind of get this right. And it was about a couple of Microsoft tools, but we got the brief like 2 weeks before the deadline. And it was probably one of the projects I was most nervous about, because of the size of the brand and like the complexity of the product. So it was like a series of emails, it was a blog, it was an ebook, and like I essentially had to become an expert on these two Microsoft products within a week, and then another week to write the content. So I just remember being like, oh God, I don't know if I can do it. And then I remember, writing it, and that I rewrote, and then actually I used AI to like check my facts, and then I'd be like, right, where did you source this? And then I'd go to the source that it quoted, read it again, made sure I understood it. Yeah, basically the project was very complex. I had to turn it around in a really short amount of time. So I wrote the content, sent it over. I was like, I'm pretty sure that content's pretty good, because I feel like I'm becoming an expert on these Microsoft products, and there was no notes at all.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, are you sure? Definitely? Like, no, they were like, yeah, we sent everything out. So I got all the emails, and it's just really satisfying when a huge brand sends out your content to thousands and thousands of people without anything being rewritten. So that was probably, in terms of a standout project for me in the B2B realm. Another one is for a B2C e-commerce client, and I created a content strategy that in, I think it was like 6 to 9 months, generated like a 40% uplift in organic traffic, and that was driven by the blog side that I had kind of strategized, planned, and written. That's a B2C project that stands out for me.
That's amazing. It sounds like you've been a part of some really incredible projects. That sounds like a really amazing experience. I mean, but excuse me while I pick my jaw up off the floor, still about 2 weeks for that high a turnover for the company for that much work. That is insane.
I found actually the bigger the brand, the smaller the turnaround time. But luckily they were so lovely to work with, and they were like, so sorry, no, this is really tight, I'm so sorry. But because it's usually not the marketing team's fault at all that it has to, the emails have to go out yesterday, sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a million meetings about it, but nobody's actually sent the brief yet. It's
exactly 100%.
So I just then wanted to know, Has there been a project that you feel has really pushed you out of your comfort zone as a writer?
Yes, there's definitely. One of the more recent examples since I've been freelance is I've been writing monthly for a global machinery brand. And I actually the project started off as rewriting content that was written by ChatGPT.
Right.
And it was clearly written by ChatGPT. So that was quite interesting. But it was quite a scary first project because I had to be better than AI. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
because some of them I was like, oh yeah, you can clearly read that these are from AI. And then other of the product, because there was like 50 product descriptions, and then others I was like, oh, can I write this better than AI? And luckily I did, but I now write for them on a monthly basis. And yeah, they're one of the many clients I work with that can like massively see and feel the difference from content written by humans versus written with AI, because they could have gone with just pumping out product descriptions from AI. I mean, it would be a lot cheaper for them, but they know it wouldn't be as valuable in the long run. So yeah, they'd be really nice to work with.
Definitely. I think there's so many elements when it's just AI generated copy that you can, there's so many signifiers. I mean, it down to just the punctuation that's used. I mean, they love a dash. Like ChatGPT loves a dash. So, and you know, but then this is the thing for me as a writer. I too love a dash. I love a dash and I love a semicolon. And to then edit myself to go, oh, actually, let me not use this here because I don't want a client to think, oh, AI. So obviously, I feel like with the sort of advent and the continued use of AI technologies within the copywriting space, I just wanted to know if you think that the copywriting landscape has really changed as a result of that.
I do think so, and I think it is inevitable, but I do not think that AI hopefully will ever have the nuance of a human, of like a human creativity, of essentially like the human touch. But I do think it has forced us copywriters to be better.
Yeah.
To kind of be one step ahead of AI, and to think like, okay, why would especially with the smaller businesses, why would they go to us to write their content, or a blog, for example, rather than just pumping it into AI? So I think we've got to be better. We've got to find that edge. And I think for me, as well as obviously my writing skills, that's SEO. So because I've worked in an SEO agency for the last 3 years, I'm quite clued up with SEO and kind of helping my clients with what to write rather than just the content. So like I'll optimize do keyword research, then optimize the content for based off the keyword research, and some other kind of SEO, give them SEO value to their content. So yeah, we obviously can't ignore it as copywriters, but we've got to be better than it.
I think that kind of answers in a really sort of minute way the next question, which is, what is your take on AI tools in writing? Because I suppose, we mentioned briefly sort of environmental concerns around it. And when you look at the statistics that a quick search in ChatGPT compared to a quick search in Google is 10 times the environmental damage in ChatGPT than it is to Google, there's so much around it that from a standpoint of just a writer going, what are the ethical implications of this? Because I'm being paid to do this. I'm doing it cheaply and quickly for the client. That's not okay with me. And I think that a lot of writers generally feel the same. And I kind of want to know what your stance on that is as well.
I 100% agree. I think you're only going to get away with that for so long as well. Because like I said, that for clients, it is so important to show our value as suppliers, as vendors anyway. But if you're writing something, if you're charging say 2 hours for a blog and the client is paying for that, it is so unethical, I believe, to then be pumping it into ChatGPT, copying and pasting it. And I think you can only get away with that for so long.
Yeah.
but and reputation is everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially within our industry where there's, you kind of hate to say it, but there is a proliferation of copywriters out there, and brands can go anywhere. So I think that reputational, if a reputation is going to precede you, you need to make sure that it's good, because you want people to want to work with you. And there's also this element of, there's going to be corporations that are adamant that they want AI to be used because they want quick and cheap labor. And it's just not okay.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing with AI is that it does hallucinate a lot, and it can be so convincing. So in a way that it will just patch together facts where it has gaps in its knowledge. So facts that they believe to be true that obviously aren't true. And I think that's a real problem. Especially I've worked with healthcare brands. Probably healthcare brands is the most important to get your facts right.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT is so unbelievably sycophantic as well. So you'll say, is this good? And say, yes, that is brilliant. Maybe just tweak this, tiny little piece of grammar, and it will be perfect. So it's been wired to say what you want to hear as well. So I think that's always something to note from a medical standpoint. Yeah.
I find that, if you can spend time with it and use it as a tool to say, like, please help me research this, but please tell me where you've got these sources from so that I can at least go and find it a lot easier. That for me has helped with cutting down a lot of research time for a lot of projects. And I do find it incredibly valuable for that. Because, we work with clients who kind of work in the science space, we'll say. And that is not my strong point at all. So to be able to kind of have that tool to be able to go, right, okay, here's where you can go to learn about this, and here's this information, and we're going to make it a lot easier for you, and here's the definition of this. That to me is incredibly beneficial, because it means I'm able to write good work for these clients. Yeah. So I just wondered, how do you use it as a research tool?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So like with the more using it for more technical subjects like, science, and essentially using it to aid you with research. And I do think it is great for that. Although something I found recently is that it's constantly using the Times, and the Times for its sources. But the Times is a paid, you've got paid to read their content. So then it's like, okay. Then it uses the Times a lot, interestingly, but I do use it for research. But then, I think you've got to dig for, like, basically it will pull out a quote that's easy to understand for research. But then once you go and click into the article, you've really got to make sure that was the correct interpretation of that quote. And then again, something that was interesting that I found using it for research, use it for this, for example, for this, the big project for the tech brand that I quoted earlier on, I would say, I'd write a fact based on my own research, and then I'd check with an AI tool to see if the information was correct. And often it would say it was correct, and it wasn't quite correct, if that makes sense. And like again, like what I said about nuance, like nuance is so important with like really, really technical brands. So that goes back to being sycophantic as well. It's like, yes, that's correct, but actually it's not 100% correct.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's important to note as well.
Yes, definitely. I feel like ChatGPT has that element of like, you're starting on the right lines here, but you're not there. And I think from that aspect, it lacks the nuance that is required for any piece of writing. And I think that as professional writers, we're able to pick up on tone, we're able to pick up on theme, we're able to pick up on language, regardless of what the piece of work is. And because it's not able to do that with an effective human range of emotion, everything just feels cold, everything feels clinical, everything feels the same. And
Yeah.
that is it's disheartening then to read when, you know, there was an example. I know I've cited this before, but there was an example a couple of weeks ago where I was reading like a film listicle, and you could tell just from the stylistic choices, you could tell from the way that it was structured, you can tell from the way that it, like the font that was used, and that is such a dead giveaway to me that that is AI generated copy. And to read that, it's not art, and it's
Yeah.
not, it doesn't make for compelling reading. It doesn't make me want to go back to that site, and I haven't done for that
Yeah.
very reason, because I don't want to
Yeah.
waste my time.
Exactly, like what you said about it being cold and clinical. And I've noticed brands that quite clearly use, especially when it's ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is quite formulaic in how
Yeah.
it writes specific content, like blogs. And then when all these brands suddenly have their blogs written the same way, they've got the same kind of, you know, how it writes its bullet pointed lists in a specific way. Like it'll have like 5 different types of bullet pointed lists in a like 700 word blog.
Yeah.
You think that's a little bit unnatural, and yeah, when you see that over and over again, it's kind of glaringly obvious to people reading. But maybe we just know because we're copywriters.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, you know, it's so showing like, so like my brother who's a tradesman, it's like him reading an AI piece of copy doesn't have the same impact on him because he doesn't know what the signifiers are. So, you know, there is that element of us, possibly we're being pedantic, or possibly we're like, well, no, I mean, like, this is what I do professionally, and I'm not going to have a robot do it for me.
Yeah. That's what I would say. But yeah, for me, the main thing is it just doesn't have the nuance of a human.
Yeah.
And especially with like B2C content. I was one of my clients that I wrote for in the agency was a travel brand, and me and the team would laugh at what ChatGPT would come out with in terms of, you know, sales copy to make, you know, to encourage people to go on XYZ holiday.
Yeah.
It was so funny and very far off. But then the worrying thing is, being completely honest, is like, oh, as the years go on and AI gets better, how like good can it get? And I guess we don't know yet in terms of that engaging, like snappy sales copy.
The thing that always makes me laugh the most is when it starts a piece of copy with "in the world of," "in the landscape of," "in the of." It's
The
like,
digital landscape.
yeah, in the digital landscape. Like, nobody says that.
In the digital landscape. I know, it's so funny.
So I feel like with the AI conversation, there's so much to say on it, and there's almost not enough time. There's certainly not enough time in this podcast to talk about it, and there's certainly not it's going to be an ongoing conversation for years upon years upon years to come, because it's here, and I feel like we need to adapt to it, but learn that it is not a replacement.
Yeah.
Ultimately. Yeah. Moving away from the AI conversation now, I just wanted to know what sort of work feels like a really good fit for you right now.
So, in terms of work that I love, I kind of went into my freelance journey, as it was, as like, okay, my niches are kind of the hospitality and entertainment industry and tech brands. But actually I've worked with like anything from luxury jewelers. I've worked with construction companies, a large company in the in aerospace engineering, like so many companies. And I've luckily had really, really great feedback and continue to work with lots of different clients on a monthly basis. So I'm kind of getting the confidence now to say that I don't have a niche. And I know that's quite there's quite a lot of opinions about that, right? In with freelance in a variety of different industries. Having said that, the companies that I have loved, like really love working with, is the hospitality and entertainment brands and the tech brands. So those, I would say, is like what I'd love to do more of going forward.
Amazing. I don't think it's a hot take to not have a niche. I think being a generalist, if you like that term and adopt that, it's fab. Yeah, it's fab.
Yeah, I think so. But people are very polarized on it. And like when I got myself into so many Reddit forums before I went freelance, which I would really recommend people not do, because people are so unbelievably negative. Like it was like half people saying, you've got to niche down, otherwise no client is going to have any trust in you. And then the other half saying the opposite with pretty compelling arguments either side. But yeah, I would say I am more a generalist. And when I worked in the marketing agencies, they were predominantly B2B.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I know I've got skills in, a variety of industries. So yeah, more generalist.
Yeah, I think that most writers that I've come across, they generally have that sort of, I'm a generalist appeal. And then everyone has their kind of specifics of like, no, I like to work with so-and-so, but actually like writing is a transferable thing. As long as you can get grips with the topic, you can just go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like and I suppose I learnt this, or like honed my skill, I guess, while I did my journalism degree in research, like research, and you can kind of become, a semi-expert in most subjects. And also, like, at the end of the day, I've got bills to pay, like, and I know I can write for your brand. So I think I'd be silly to turn down work because it's not in my niche. But then I don't know any copywriter who would actually turn down work because it's not in their niche.
No, definitely.
Yeah. Tech brands, hospitality brands, entertainment brands, and e-commerce brands. Actually, I've worked with quite a few e-commerce brands now, and they're really fun to write for.
So we spoke briefly just now about how some of the best writers can be really adaptable and how important that adaptability is. And I know that a lot of my favorite writers are very adaptable and they write all kinds of genres. They write all kinds of pieces. And so I'm wondering, is there a particular writer, and it could be an author, a screenwriter, a songwriter, a poet, a copywriter, that you particularly admire or look up to?
Yeah, for me, there's two standout people. So one is Marina Hyde, who is, I believe, predominantly a Guardian journalist, columnist, and she was probably the first person whose work I read, and that was like, oh, this is great, like these are great words, she knows how to write something that will make people read to the end. And I've kind of always been, since uni really, I've always been in awe of her writing. And I think she's so sharp and intelligent, and she writes some great things for the Guardian. So she would be my first person. And then another person, actually, who I've only discovered fairly recently, he's another freelance copywriter, but a lot more established than myself, has been in it a lot longer, is Jonathan Wilcock, who I found on LinkedIn. And he makes me laugh with his LinkedIn posts, which is quite rare to do, to laugh on LinkedIn. But I do admire his work, and I read his blogs, and he gives away quite a lot of good tips and hints. So another one I recommend.
I'll go and seek him out. I mean, LinkedIn is not a place I go to laugh, but I could do with it because it can be a little bit too self-serious at times.
It's a serious place. I was when I went self-employed, I was like, I'm gonna write a post every week. This is where my leads are gonna come in. Yeah. But I really do. I just struggle. I go to write something, I go, oh, cringe. No, I can't. I don't want to write it. Yeah. So I don't hardly use it.
That seems to be like the prevailing thing about LinkedIn, is people will go like, oh God, I feel like oh God, it's so cringe to write this. And it's like, yes, it is. We've all done it. None of us like doing it, but we all do it. And it just is what it is.
I really do need to get over myself. Funny enough, a couple of nights ago, I was writing next week, it'll be 3 months since I've started freelancing. So I was writing something. I was like, oh, even when I'm writing it, I'm like, oh, does anybody care? But then I'm like, if you look at, very well established copywriters, they are on LinkedIn a lot and like growing their personal brand. But growing my personal brand is something I can't quite fathom yet. So I'm so far off that. I can help other people grow their brand, but
your own. Yeah, I'll happily do the work for everybody else, but the second I need to work on myself, no thank you, I'm out.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's a work in progress.
Forever a work in progress with my LinkedIn. It's just it's I scheduled recently. I think I scheduled like 4 weeks worth of stuff, and I thought, perfect, I've done it. And then that 4 weeks was about 8 weeks ago. So I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh no, I need
yeah.
to get back and do it, and I just don't want to.
Fair play for scheduling things 4 weeks in advance, though. That is very impressive.
I just had an afternoon where I'd done loads of social content for Alpha Quad, and I thought, okay, I've got 10 minutes free. Let me just like bang out a couple of posts while I'm in the mood to do it for myself. And it was one
Yeah.
of them was like, I have worked at Alpha Quad now for 2 years, and here are all of the things that I've learned. And I ended up deleting it after it had gone live because I thought, who do I think I am? Like,
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. Right. So, oh yeah, no, oh God, no one cares. No one cares. Why delete?
just
But
like,
you got,
yeah.
you've got to put yourself out there.
I think it was because like I wrote it and then I was like, yeah, this is great, and then it went out and I was just like, I don't care about it. Like even I don't care, and I wrote it. Like,
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's not a great time. But I live in Cheltenham, and the networking, there's quite a lot of like I'd say quite a busy networking scene in Cheltenham, and because it's really small, sort of like businesses just know each other, and I really need to start networking, and yeah, just showing up. Essentially, that's what people say, don't they? Show up.
yeah, the hardest thing is to show up, and then
Yeah.
it's all from there. And it's always the first one I feel like is the most daunting. So I've not done I can't say that I've ever done a networking event. This to me is my version of networking, is like talking to people through Google Meet, recording it, putting it out as a podcast. And this is great because to me, it's like, let me talk to copywriters, let me hear people's stories, and let them get their story out there in a way that's, conducive for their brand, for their business, and just to have fun with it. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to go and like have coffee with people and talk about it unless I've got a mic, and unless I can monetize it, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, well, the thing is with these networking groups is they're expensive, so then people like you're there to kind of sell yourself, and then like we said, it's not really about creating relationships. It's about kind of selling yourself and selling your business, and that is like what you said. It's tricky, but there's an art to it. I did quite a lot of networking in my last agency, and I feel like I got better and better at it, but then I was going with a group of people, so now I'll have to go on my own, which is quite daunting.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, although once you find like the one that you really like to go to, and if you go to it regularly, I suppose that kind of eases the sort of daunting nature of it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another work in progress.
Yeah. So moving on to something that's completely non-writing related, I want to know what's something that inspires you that is completely not writing, that inspires your work.
Oh, this is going to sound so basic, but I have to say reading.
No, I love that. I love it.
I read a lot. So I read quite a bit of fantasy novels, and I'm reading a really good book at the moment called Atmosphere, which is a new Taylor Jenkins Reid book. And yeah, sometimes I'll read sentences and be like, oh, that is a beautiful sentence. Like, and I'll take, and even though obviously I'm not going to write that for like a tech brand, but the way certain things are phrased, or the way, things, I suppose, captivate me in a really good book is something that I can take forward when I go to write for my clients. So reading. And then another thing, again, slightly cliche, but because I live kind of near the Cotswolds, I take my dog on hikes. He's underneath the table now, hopefully not chewing on a wire. So hold his head. I go on hikes, and that really is like a fantastic way to, if you have like writer's block, as it were, then getting yourself out of that rut when you're walking like outside in fresh air, and then just if you haven't, I tend to have ideas while I'm walking that I write down on my notes app again and copy into the Google Docs and get myself over that writer's block.
There's nothing better than being sat down writing all day, and then suddenly just like, right, I need this change of scenery, and literally go and have a change of scenery and walk. And it's just like clears your head, clears your mind, play with your dog. It's great. It's amazing.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah.
So if you had to describe your creative process in one word, what would that be?
I would say chaotic.
Love that.
Would be my one word, and hopefully the best possible way, because I've got, just as you're speaking now, I've got about 20 tabs above me, and I've got 2 screens of 20 tabs, and they all represent a different thought. But I know there's a method to the madness.
That's a lot of tabs.
My one thing that does keep me organized, though, is this Remarkable, which I was given by the last agency that I work for, and I really love it for organizing all my notes, so I don't have like a massive messy notebook. But yeah, chaotic would be my one word.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I just have list upon list upon list. I'm going to have to agree with chaotic for myself. It's just, yeah, there's a lot going on this laptop right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's not because I do some social media management for a live restaurant group. I can hear my phone buzzing in the back. I said to you at the start of the call, I'm going to put it in another room, and it is my watch, my phone in another room. I can hear it go buzz, 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 buzz. So I'll be like this, like working from 2 different screens, this answering an Instagram message. So chaotic, but yeah, I like it. I do like it like that. I can't see it any other way, really.
Yeah, I like the kind of unpredictable nature of like this is like incredibly chaotic, but it keeps me alive. It keeps the blood pumping. It's like,
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it keeps it interesting as well, right? Like literally no day is the same, and I've always said that about whatever career I go into. I really, really don't want every day to be the same. And yeah, and definitely no day is the same.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's the perfect answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 more questions for you, and these are like just nice, easy breezy ones. So as a writer, I like to listen to varying types of music as I write. So if it's like a really long form piece, I tend to listen to like film scores or something just like ambient and instrumental. And I just wonder, do you have any recommendations for us for things that you listen to while you work? And it could be anything. So I just want to know, what should we be listening to?
I do. So classical piano music.
Lovely.
It's honestly like, as soon as I switch that playlist on, I am locked in. Like, I know it is serious. Like, I've got to get stuff done.
Yeah.
So yeah, classical piano music. Weirdly not like orchestral music, because I find that a bit like high pitched, but stuff with like low mellow tones, that really, really helps me. If I'm working on something to do with like social media, I often listen to LBC.
Yeah, I like LBC.
Yeah, I often listen to James O'Brien to help me keep up to date with the news. But yeah, piano music's honestly so good for concentration, so that's what I'd recommend.
Amazing. And just lastly here, where can people find you and your work online? So
you can find me on LinkedIn. My name's Emily Redman. You can email me at emilyr.content@gmail.com. And I really need to get a professional email address. It makes me cringe every time I send that. I really, it's on my to-do list. And speaking of things that I really need to do, I have got a portfolio that is kind of, again, a work in progress, because I thought that was going to be one of the first things I was going to do, but I was lucky enough to be very, very busy as soon as I kind of went freelance. So it keeps being pushed. So I do have a website that I can send people if they message me on LinkedIn, but it's currently not good enough for me yet to go live, but to be discoverable by search engines, which is hilarious because I literally work on people's SEO and helping people become discoverable online, and I'm not that discoverable online. And I'm sorry that I was so long-winded.
That's not long-winded at all. It's just that it's the standard thing. As soon as you try to work on your own website or your own project in any way, work will flood in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then I'm always like, I'm kind of, it just, my portfolio just needs to be updated with some of the things I've been working on recently, some of the bigger projects. So I'll send it to people, if they ask for it, or on LinkedIn. So you can see what I have worked on in the past. But yeah, like I said, it's not good enough for me yet to go live.
You'll get there one day. And then it'll be out and you'll be like, oh, thank God for that.
Thank God. Yeah, exactly. Again, another work in progress, but yeah, I'm only 3 months into being freelance. So yeah, I feel like if you ask me in 3 years, hope that I have this fantastic SEO'd website.
Well, that wraps us up for today. Emily, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and be a guest for us here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lewis. Thank you.
This has been amazing. And I'm still trialing endings for this series. I don't know what my final sentence should be. I love to get the last word. So at the minute I'm thinking I'm going to end it by going, did you copy that?
Love it.
So I think that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to, did you copy that?